Thank you for listening to Draw Near with Fred and Kara. And today we're going to take kind of a little break from some of the teaching type episodes that we've been doing. We've kind of been doing a lot of those.
Yes,
actually.
we have, especially you. You've been very busy with shorties.
Yeah, I like doing the scripture stuff. And then we had a couple really awesome guests with Sister Fidelis and Sonia Corbett. So if you haven't listened to those, be sure to go check those out. But we're going to take more of a personal route today and do an episode about Christmas. And we don't have our trusty interviewer, John Paul. He's normally our interviewer in the Chit Chat and Banter episode. So we're just going to kind of interview each other for this episode.
Yes, it'll be fun. A little more lighthearted, kind of personal as we close out the year, as we look forward to the new year.
Maybe we'll call it the Chit Chat and Banter Christmas edition or something.
Maybe.
That's terrible.
The Christmas Spectacular.
That's terrible too. I'm just kidding.
We're really good at naming things here at Draw Near.
I was mostly joking, unless you're currently listening to this and we called it Chit Chat and Banter Christmas edition. That means we couldn't think of anything better.
Exactly. Yes.
But before we get into this episode today, Fred and I wanted to just take a quick second and kind of share the progress of the beard raiser. So the goal was Thanksgiving. We did not reach the supporter amount that we were hoping for by Thanksgiving yet, but we wanted to give a shout out. I say yet. Thanksgiving has passed, so we're kind of out of time there.
And it's the Christmas episode, so clearly it's passed.
But we did want to take just a really quick moment to give a shout out to those who did become patrons and who have been very generous in supporting us, because it honestly does mean the world to us. So, Fred, do you want to give a shout out and thank those who have...
Yeah. So first we want to thank Matt and Callie Benz.
Yes.
It means a lot to us. Kara cried.
I literally cried.
Many tears. Yeah. Actually, with every single one of you, you've all made her cry. So congratulations. But happy tears.
Congratulations for making me cry.
But happy tears because we're so thankful. It means a lot to us. So Allison Radford as well, Rob Heller, Alicia Ketter, Stephen Pallone, and Linda Molbauer. Thank you so much for your support, helping us to continue the work of Draw Near and really helping us to build and plan for a future that's much bigger than what you've seen so far. It's been incredible. We launched October 4th, Feast of St. Francis, and it's been incredible to see how much growth and support that we've seen and encouragement and feedback and stuff over the last about 2 months. So it's exciting.
Yeah, very grateful for all of you. And if you feel called to support, Fred, where can they go if they want to support us?
They should probably just go to our website, www.drawnear.me, and there's a donate button in the top right corner. Just click that donate button. It'll take you to our Patreon page.
Or you can scroll down in the description of this episode and just hit donate. There's a link that says donate.
Yes. I still want to do the beard raiser, though, Kara. I'm still open to that. I know you were pretty excited about it.
I want to shave your face off.
Yeah. Not just my face, but my face off. My whole face. You did say shave your face off. Sorry.
Yes, I did. I did say shave your face off. Shave your beard off.
Yes.
Too much caffeine today.
Too much caffeine in that half calf. Yes. No, I feel like you were hoping I didn't notice that.
I know. I was like, what just came out of my mouth? All right. I won't shave your face off, but your beard.
Yes.
I'll leave your face.
Yeah. It was funny because I was talking with somebody last night, Kara. The kids had a choir concert. And somebody said, you should really shave your beard. And I said, funny thing. If you donate at www.drawnear.me, I will shave my beard.
Very good segue. That's good.
Yes.
Awesome. So getting into this week's episode, with Christmas coming up this week and New Year's just around the corner, we wanted to talk a little bit about our own personal experiences with this holiday and some of our family traditions and get really chit-chatty in an entire episode, which is why it's Chit Chat Christmas edition, maybe. We'll see. And really just kind of take on the topic of this holiday season. And I think there are enough episodes out there and other podcasts that kind of go into like the theological and scriptural background. So anyways, if you wanted to kind of go deeper into the Christmas season, there's a lot out there, but we kind of just want to take this opportunity to really invite you into like what we do in our homes and how we bring this Christmas and Advent season into our homes and teach our kids about it.
Amen. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. And Kara had entirely too much caffeine.
I did.
Right before we started recording.
I had a half calf. I had a blended drink with half calf.
Yes.
And I'm like, I had way too much caffeine.
Half calf. Yes. When she said she had too much caffeine in a half calf drink, it made me smile.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is going to be a great episode. We're looking forward to this.
Yeah. It'll be very Q&A oriented. So I'm just going to jump right in and start, Fred. I'll be your interviewer this evening.
Sounds good. What if they're listening in the morning, though?
We do post it in the morning.
True.
I'll be your interviewer this morning. All right. So the first question I have for you is, what is your most memorable Christmas experience?
That is a tough question, Kara, because I feel like a million experiences come to mind. And they're all like little things. I don't know. Probably if I had to only pick one, it was when we had our fifth child. Crystal was pregnant with her. Her name is Zoe. Mm-hmm. And the way we announced it to the kids, it was a very early announcement. They had all been praying and asking for a sibling for Christmas. Mm-hmm. And so what we did was our youngest boy, we gave him a Christmas present that we said was for everybody. Mm-hmm. And it was a shirt that said Big Brother on it. Mm-hmm. And it's a real cute video. I think we should probably post it on our Facebook page.
Okay.
And, he opened it up and everybody was just really puzzled about how is this shirt that says Big Brother for all of them? Mm-hmm. And then he's not a big brother. And then so there was this moment where you see it slowly click on each one of their faces, what we're saying. Yeah. And we have to remind them, didn't you want a sibling for Christmas? And then all of a sudden, our oldest daughter especially, there's all these happy tears and everybody's excited. It's a beautiful, a way that we announce that to them. That's probably one of my favorite, sort of big Christmas moments. Yeah. And like I said, let's put that on our Facebook page because I think everyone will enjoy it.
Yeah, that's really sweet.
But I don't know. There's a lot of things that come to mind.
You don't have to pick just one. You can share whatever.
We hadn't been Catholic very long. I think it might have been our first Christmas Mass, Christmas Eve, in Steubenville. And it was after Mass. We were on our way to the car in the parking lot. And there was a blizzard was moving in. Mm-hmm. So it was snowing like crazy. Mm-hmm. And then our oldest boy, who was only about maybe 2 at the time, it's like I'm really struggling to get him to follow along. Mm-hmm. He's holding my hand. And it's snowy, so I kind of understand that. But he keeps saying, they're falling, but they're falling, but they're falling. We have no idea what he's talking about. And then finally, our oldest daughter says, look. And I look back and his pants are around his ankles. So,
they're falling.
But they're falling. His pants are falling down. And I don't know.
You're just dragging him.
He's dragging him through the snow on Christmas Eve Mass. So I'm sure I looked like this fantastic parent. But I don't know. It's a story that all the kids, because we tell it every Christmas. We have this tradition of over Christmas, we tend to have moments where we talk about our favorite Christmas memories over the years. So that story has lived on. Kara, I'm sure I'm going to share more as we go along, but asking you the same question, what are some of your favorite Christmas experiences?
Am I a terrible person if it doesn't include Mass? Well, okay, there is one that includes Mass. There was one Christmas that I remember very vividly, and it was probably my favorite Christmas. And all of my siblings, we were all older. I come from a family of 5 kids, and we were all a lot older. And one of our Christmas gifts that we got for the whole family was Dance Dance Revolution and karaoke. We opened up that gift and we just stopped everything. And my parents brought the gaming system up to the living room, and then we played until 8:00 at night. And that was honestly one of the best gifts. And I think why I remember it so much is because it was all of the siblings just having dance competitions in the living room all Christmas Day. So that was so fun.
That's awesome, Kara. Yeah. As you were saying that, I remember a similar experience with us. We had I think we had just gotten a Wii when Wii's were coming out, and the Wii Sports and all that was a big deal. And we had a Christmas like that at the in-laws, actually, where everybody did that. And it was a lot of fun. That was the whole day.
Yeah, it's so fun.
Yeah.
There was another one where Actually, this isn't a one-time experience, but I remember every single Christmas, and we did this on Easter too, where we would all get so excited to go downstairs and to look at what Santa brought, and we'd open up gifts and everything. And because there were 5 of us, we'd go in and we'd wake up my parents, and then they would go downstairs, and we would all sit on the stairs and line up. And then like my parents would call, okay, Kara, you can come, and Jen, you can come. And like they'd call us down one by one. And so I remember sitting at the top of the stairs, seeing my siblings go down, and then you just see their faces like, whoa, and you don't know what it is yet because you don't get to see, but the tree was right at the bottom of the steps. And so I remember sitting on the stairs and waiting until it was our turn to go downstairs. There were a few Christmases where all of us wanted to stay up really late because we wanted to catch Santa and we wanted to meet Santa. And so my oldest sister, she was like, okay, well, everyone can come stay in my room. We'll just have a sleepover. And it was so fun. And we'd be up late talking. And then here's my sister, Megan. And she's like, the next one to talk has to leave. And like me and my siblings, we always joke with her, like, Megan, you remember when you were the Grinch and you like wouldn't let us stay up and meet Santa? But we did that over and over every Christmas, even though we knew that's how it was going to end. But funny. It was always so fun because it was like just the sleepover with my siblings.
Nice.
So it was really fun.
That's fun.
Yeah.
So for me, like those Christmas memories, like I said, there's a lot of them, but it's all those things. They tend to be the things we do every year. Like growing up, I couldn't sleep Christmas Eve. Like it was very hard. I was just so excited, and I'd wake up. It never failed at 6:00. Wake everybody up. You know. Yep. And the funny thing is, I still do that. Like I wake the kids up
because you're so excited.
That's how excited I am. I turn into a big kid at Christmas, but you know I'm a big kid as it is. But at Christmas especially, I wake the kids up, and we kind of do the same thing. They know you don't come down until we're down here first, because like one of our greatest joys is seeing their face when they come down and they see all the things that Santa has left out and everything that, you know, that's there. And I kind of live for that, you know? Yeah. And so those moments are just so beautiful, and that's the Christmas thing that I just enjoy. Yeah. Always.
Yeah. As we got older, our parish would do midnight mass. And that became one of my favorite things too, because then it started becoming a Christmas Eve tradition with my family growing up, where we would stay up really late and we would go to midnight mass, and then we'd come home and we'd stay up, and at like 2 a.m. when mass got over, we'd all stay up and we'd play games and have egg bake at 2 in the morning.
You had egg bake in the morning too?
Yeah. Was it at 2 in the morning or just in the
No,
morning?
it was like that was what we ate when we first got up. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I remember that as we got older, and playing games is always fun. So those are kind of some of my favorite memories.
Nice. That's awesome.
What is your favorite thing about this time of year? So it doesn't have to be necessarily Christmas, but just not Christmas season in the liturgical sense, I guess. So obviously right now we're in Advent. A lot of, I think the world is like, it's Christmas time, it's Christmas, but Christmas is after. Actually, no, it starts with the vigil masses on Christmas Eve, and it goes until the baptism of Jesus. Right. So Christmas season is actually after Christmas happens. In the church's calendar year, Christmas is Christmas Eve until the baptism of Jesus. So in this Advent / Christmas season, what's your favorite thing just to do in this season, time of year?
Garrett, I think this question is just like the last one. I think there's so many things about this time of year that I just love. It's hard for me to articulate one thing necessarily. I think there is something magical about this time of year in some ways, if we're open to that. Yeah. If we don't allow ourselves to kind of get caught in the hustle and bustle of shopping, and I know there's a big department store that I always see every Christmas. They always have I'm not going to say who it is, but they always have a sign that says something like "More Christmas for your money," as if Christmas is something that you can buy. Right. If we don't get caught up in the trap of that, I think there's a lot of beautiful things about this time of year that I really love. I think, Kara, that's one of the hard things about celebrating Advent well, is the world seems to celebrate this time very differently. It's all about the gifts, the buying, the sales, the do this, do that. And it's hard to take a step back and do the prayer,
Right.
the almsgiving and the fasting that's actually supposed to be a time to prepare for the coming of Christ, not just the preparing for Christ coming at Christmas, but also his future coming and his daily coming into our lives. And everything works against that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you are able to kind of pull away from that, it's all those things that make this favorite time of year for me. So what do I mean by that? What does some of that look like for me? It's little things like we have this book, Saturday Evening Post Christmas book, and it's just full of a bunch of Christmas stories.
Mm-hmm.
All of them have a strong Christian theme, have a good moral to them. And, every night I'll read one of those stories to the kids, do things like that. And that's some of our favorite memories, actually, every year. Going back to your previous question, reading stories like The Gift of the Magi,
right,
or Yes, Virginia, There Is a Santa Claus. Reading those stories to the kids. And I read those every year, and I still cry like a little baby at the end.
Aww.
And I try to disguise that my
so
voice.
Smooshy.
Why is Daddy's voice cracking? Because Daddy's smushy, as Kara says. Memories like that in all of our Christmas movie traditions, which we have.
Mm-hmm.
So like our oldest daughter, December 1st, we went into the hospital because my wife was going to be induced, and How the Grinch Stole Christmas was on that night. So we watched that while we were waiting for baby to come. And so every December 1st, one of our traditions, we watch How the Grinch Stole Christmas, just like we did that.
Yeah.
So it's all those little...
The old cartoon one or the Jim
old
Carrey
cartoon one, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So every year we watch that on December 1st. And another thing, Christmas Eve, we always watch Charlie Brown Christmas, because that's what Christmas is all about, And just little things like
it's
that.
Charlie Brown, or what?
Right, Charlie Brown Christmas. Yeah. So it's all those little things about this time of year that I really find a lot of joy in, and I look forward to this time of year. It does tend to be a time where I can kind of rest and unwind and ease into the new year and really reflect on what it's all about. You have to be very intentional about that. And going back to your previous question too, but I think it ties into the sentiment with this question. I remember when I was in high school, and then for a few years after, I used to get up every Christmas morning about 6 a.m. because I was in that habit. And I would go for a walk in the neighborhood. And it's amazing how quiet and how peaceful it is on Christmas morning. And like that peace is what I enjoy about this time of year.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of intentionality too that goes into like how we spend time with our families. And honestly, I wish I had that mentality throughout the whole year, and maybe that'll be my New Year's resolution. But I think there is just during this time of year kind of that intentionality, like even with Clara and my family and my kids, it'll be like, hey, do you guys want to do a puzzle, as opposed to putting on a movie or like you said, you try and read books to them every single night. I like that because it very much is just this like cozy family season.
Right. Yeah.
At least in our house it is. And I know not everybody experiences it that way, but that is definitely something that I am grateful for.
Yeah. You mentioned games earlier.
Yeah.
Playing board games is always a big part of everybody knows it.
Yeah.
If they've been following us, they know it's a big part of our family anyway, but that's usually a big part of our Christmas as well. And there's no substitute for looking across the table, looking into someone's eyes who you truly care about and making memories with them. So we have a lot of board games, sure, but it's not about that. It's about the experience of that together.
Right.
And that's a beautiful thing. I always tell my kids the story about one Christmas I got a video, whatever the new Nintendo was that year, 64, whatever it was. And I spent the entire day not with my family, like the beautiful way you described with your Dance Dance Revolution and me with the Wii Sports, but I spent the entire day by myself playing that video game, from 6 a.m. probably, until it was like 2 or 3 a.m. And I remember going to bed that night thinking, I'll never get to redo this Christmas. That's the only Christmas of whatever year this was I get.
Right.
And I felt kind of sad that that's how I chose to spend it, by myself staring at a screen.
Right.
And so I often tell my kids that story because they can see the truth in that. So yeah, it's a good learning experience. Certainly for the kids. Going back to your previous question,
I think one of my favorite things about this season is my husband, BJ, he really likes driving around and looking at houses. He likes doing this even not in Christmas season. We'll just be in the car and we'll just drive through random neighborhoods and be like, oh, look at that house, look at that house. But during Christmas season, we actually just make it very intentional. If we're out and about one evening with the kids or just with us, we drive around and we go and look at Christmas lights. We don't put any up, even though I would like to, just because, man, Christmas lights are expensive.
They are expensive.
Yeah, and our house kind of has like a tall peak in the front, and I don't want him to die. So we don't put any up, even though I would really like to. So instead, we just have joy in other people's efforts to put up their Christmas lights. And so we just drive around, and I really like doing that. Where I grew up, we actually had this house that they would start putting up Christmas lights in like September or October because they had so many. Everyone knew it as like the Christmas lighthouse. Let's go to the Christmas lighthouse. And they let you get out and you could walk around their yard, and it had like all these really cool things. And that was one of my favorite things to do even growing up. So I really enjoy getting to do that with our kids too, even though they are still very young, but like pointing out kind of that fun aspect of Christmas. I really like doing that.
Yeah, there's nothing that beats a good Christmas light display. I would love to do that. I think our house would be awesome for that, especially because it's up on a hill. But yeah, it's a budget thing. So if you'd like to donate Christmas lights, we'll put an address where to send your Christmas lights so we can decorate our house.
There you go. If you're one of those people who has totes and totes in your attic of Christmas lights, we will take them. That's good. Okay, I have like a not very Christmassy thing that I actually really like about this season. I never drink hot chocolate, except when it's Christmas time. I drink it every single day.
Nice.
And I love it. It's one of my favorite things, honestly, like to just go and sit down on my couch. And before, it was when I was still in grad school, before it was like I would make hot chocolate and I'd sit down and watch 3 hours of lecture in one night.
Nice.
But now it's like I get to read a book or I get to watch a movie with my husband or something, and we just make hot chocolate. And I really just find it very relaxing, and it reminds me of Christmas. So
that's awesome.
I like it.
No, that's good. It's good. There's a lot of those sort of things that this time of year, like eggnog.
Yeah, you only ever do it now.
Right. And let's be honest, like whoever drinks eggnog and then is like, I'm really glad I made that decision. And yet
this is my go-to drink.
And yet every single year I need that eggnog.
Yeah.
Drink your half a cup, move on. But you got to have it. And there's all those feelings and sentiments there that come with that.
Yeah. Yeah, with the season. Yeah, that's funny.
All right, Kara, my turn to ask you a question.
Okay.
How do you teach your kids what Christmas is all about?
That's a good one.
They don't have to be named Charlie Brown.
Honestly, I think just like talking to them. So for context, my kids are 2 and 4. So my level of explanation to them is not yet quite deep because they're 2 and 4. But just taking every opportunity to talk to them about it. So the other day we were going to take my daughter to her religious ed class. And we pulled into the parking lot and she saw this huge life-size nativity set that they have set out at the church, and they play music with it and it has this little bench that sits in front. And she got so excited and she just ran straight to it and just plopped down on the bench. And it was the most precious thing. And so I walked over to her and I just, took a picture because I thought it was adorable. But then I just knelt down next to her and I said, do you know what this is? And started kind of pointing out like, here's Mary and here's Joseph and here's the angel, and like kind of just trying to teach her a little bit about it. And then said, we're approaching Christmas. Do you remember what Christmas is about? And obviously, Clara, she's 4 years old. She's like, yeah, it's when Santa comes and we get presents.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, that does happen. And then I pointed to baby Jesus and I just kind of explained like, this is what it's really about. It's the birthday of Jesus. And that's what we're here to celebrate. And so honestly, I think simple answer is to just take every opportunity I have when that comes up to just teach my kids about Christmas. Actually recently in the car, my daughter asked me, and we were talking about Christmas in some context, and then she just goes, what does it mean? And I go, what does what mean? Christmas? And she goes, yeah, what does Christmas mean? And I was like, nice. So then I kind of went a little bit deeper and tried to explain a little bit about what Christmas means. And one of my favorite things actually in the midst of that conversation was I got to teach her about what her name means.
Nice.
So my daughter's name is Clara, and then her middle name is Noelle. So we were talking about Christmas, and I told her, your name actually means Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went in and explained Noel, and Noel means Christmas. And then her name, Clara, she's named after St. Clair, but her name, Clara, in Italian, Clara is light. And so I said, your name actually means light of Christmas. You are the light of Christmas. And I know Jesus is the light of Christmas, but I thought it was so precious. And she goes, in her innocence, she's like, no, I'm Clara Noel.
That's funny.
And I was like, no. Yeah. The meaning of Clara and the meaning, trying to teach her.
That's funny. I was expecting a turn like, did you know I am the light of Christmas?
I know.
And I'm humble too.
And I'm humble too, yeah. She would do that. She's sassy. But yeah, I think just taking those opportunities to like remind your kids, because at a young age, they are very excited about Santa. They're super excited about waking up to presents, but just taking those opportunities to integrate like the faith into why are we doing these things? Why are we celebrating with presents today? It's because it's Jesus's birthday,
right?
And that sort of thing. So that's kind of what the approach we take.
Yeah, we kind of do the same thing, always talking about it. And a lot of times, it's kind of silly questions, but like, is Christmas all about presents? I can't remember. And then I always do this like play dumb and then make them tell me.
Right.
And they say, no, it's Jesus' birthday. And this is why we give good gifts. And I try to make them tell me, and my kids are a little older than yours. Well, some of them are the same age because we've already arranged their marriage, obviously, but and kind of making them tell me and reminding them of what Christmas is about, that it's not about the presents. It was kind of neat this year because nobody wanted anything for Christmas. And I didn't know what to do with that because write your letter to Santa Claus. And we have this tradition where when they write their letter to Santa Claus, there's 3 things that have to be in that letter. The first thing is thanking him for whatever he gave them last year. The second thing is what's the one thing that they want? Because they don't need 10 things.
Right.
And then the third thing they have to put in the letter is one thing they want for a sibling. And so every year that's what's in their letter. So and they can ask whatever else they want. Right. Like typically it'll be, like, what's your favorite kind of cookie? Or, or questions like that are fine. But
so they can make it for
you. And it's kind of cool because in our house, Santa Claus always takes the time to leave them a nice letter. He writes in cursive, which I'm out of practice, so it's really hard for me to read, but I try. Every Christmas morning, he leaves them this really nice note that's usually teaching them something about the faith as well, and talking about the gifts and things like that. So it's kind of neat because in our house, Santa Claus even takes the time to remind the kids of what Christmas is about, that it's not just about him coming to give gifts, but this is why he does it. So that's kind of a beautiful thing that happens in our house.
I like that you help your kids too to say what they want for their siblings, because it just kind of gets them in that mentality of like generosity and giving. One thing that we're just starting with Clara, because she's 4 and Gerard's not quite old enough, but one thing we're just starting is we sat her down and we said, hey, it's very possible that Santa is going to be bringing you new toys. I don't think we have enough room for toys. So what do you think we should do with some of our toys? And she got really excited and she wanted to give them away. And so we're trying to kind of get in this mentality of preparing, because that's what Advent is for, is preparing not just our hearts and our souls, which is very primary, but also like preparing your space and your home.
Right.
And so we're trying to get her in this mentality of generosity and of giving things away. And actually recently we did this with books. I feel like books just collect themselves. You don't have to buy them. They just show up at your house. Yep. And we were running out of space for all of these books. And so I told Clara, we need to get rid of some of these books. And so we set a big box outside the door of her bedroom. And she was so excited. She started going through all of her books. And I was shocked because like books that I love reading to her and that are her favorite and she requests often, in my mind I was like, oh, no way we're getting rid of this one. And then she would come over and see that one that is her favorite book and be like, oh, I love this book, somebody else is gonna really love this book, and she'd throw it in the box. So I was so happy for her, like just those moments where she like wanted to give. And so we're trying to do that this Advent.
Yeah, we've done that before too, where we've talked to the kids about, hey, you could leave these toys for Santa Claus and he can pick them up on the way and deliver them along the way. Or, hey, that Spider-Man's missing an arm. Do we really need to keep that Spider-Man? I bet he could take it, get it fixed up, and find it,
find a new home.
And so they leave those things. So that's been nice too, because it helps them to see that it's not just about what we get.
Right.
There's something more there.
Right. So speaking of Advent and being a time to prepare, what are some of your favorite Advent traditions to do with your family?
Well, early on when we were becoming Catholic, where we lived in Steubenville, there's in a lot of Catholic places, there's always this debate about, is it okay to set up your Christmas tree during Advent, and should you listen to Christmas music during Advent? You know, it's quite the debate. And at the risk of being controversial, we tried to bridge the gap of finding the happy balance between what Advent is all about, what this time of year is all about, what our faith teaches, but also how can we sort of redeem or point some of those traditions that we grew up with toward Christ. And so one of the early decisions we came to was we're still going to set the Christmas tree up after Thanksgiving, which is typically that first Sunday of Advent is almost always the Sunday after Thanksgiving. I grew up putting up the Christmas tree, my wife did as well, the day after Thanksgiving on that Friday. So we just made that adjustment. But what we do is that first Sunday we put up the tree, but it's an Advent tree. It's not a Christmas tree. It is an Advent tree, and we decorate it differently to make that clear. We actually put 2 strands of Christmas lights on the tree to start with. We only plug in one of those lights. Only one of those lights to start. We have purple and pink bulbs on the tree. And then we do a devotion called the Jesse tree. Kara, can we leave a link to the Jesse tree in the show notes?
Sure.
So basically what the Jesse tree is it walks through the story of salvation, and every day the kids have a new ornament. And some years we make new ornaments or similar ornaments, but it tells the story of salvation.
For anyone who doesn't know, Jesse is the father of King David. And so it kind of walks through. So I can't remember without having the scripture passage in front of me, but I'll try and put it in the show notes. I'm pretty sure it's in Isaiah where it talks about a shoot will come up from the stump of Jesse, pointing to how Jesus, the Savior, is going to be from the line of David. So it walks through kind of the story of salvation of the Davidic line, and it culminates in Christmas with Jesus.
Right. Yeah. So it's great because the first decoration is creation, and then Adam and Eve, and then the sin, and then through the covenants and so on. And the kids are always really excited about putting those decorations up and learning more about the story. And my wife will sit down at the tree, read them the little story, put the decoration up. And sometimes if we know there's a good short movie about that Bible story or something like that, we'll let them watch that. Like if there's a Moses cartoon or something, we'll watch that just to go a little deeper. And then that continues through all of Advent, doing that every day, adding something new. And then on Christmas Eve, we plug that second light set in, if you remember. Think about why would there be twice as much light on Christmas Day? Well, because the light of Christmas, who you mentioned, who's not Clara, who is Christ, comes into the world. So the light comes into the world. It's twice as bright. And we also take down all those Advent decorations. And at that point, we put all of our Christmas decorations up. So what we've done is we get to celebrate Advent more properly, but also they get double the fun. Like they get to decorate the tree twice. I don't know. That's kind of exciting. I would have loved that when I was little. So we get to capture it that way. So that's one of the things we do.
I think my goal is to get to a Jesse tree. Again, my kids are very young, so they craft like a 2 and a 4-year-old.
Right, yeah.
But my goal is to have a Jesse tree right now. It's just we just keep it a little bit more bare. We still put up the tree because I am very much like, I don't do decor. I really am terrible at it. It just, in my mind, it feels like clutter to me. Don't hate me, the people who love Christmas decor. But the tree is like, it's Christmas season. So I love having the tree up. But we do keep it very minimal. Like right now, I think we have 4 purple ball ornaments on there, and that's it. Mostly because the other ones didn't have hooks on them yet. But like that's for Advent. And so it's a very minimal stringed lights, and then like a few purple and pink ornaments. And then, like you said, we switch it at Christmas. But the goal is to eventually have like crafts and Jesse ornaments and stuff like that.
And we started doing that Jesse tree thing when our kids were pretty much the same age.
Yeah.
You know, actually our youngest was even younger than Gerard.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very messy decorations. But we just stuck with it. And so it's been kind of neat. The kids really look forward to those stories every day.
Mm-hmm.
And they remind us if we forget
Mm-hmm.
or if we get too busy.
Yeah.
Another thing we do all through Advent, Kara, is St. Nicholas is a favorite in our house.
Yeah.
And somewhere along the way, early in our Catholic journey, we read that St. Nicholas would like to ask, I don't have a reference for this, but we found it somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
He would ask the kids catechetical questions about the faith, and then he would give them a treat for getting the answer right.
Mm-hmm.
So we do that all through Advent, and the kids look forward to that all the time as well. Like in the evening, will you ask me questions now? And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how he does it, but in our house, it's not just December 6th. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
But that stocking gets more and more full as Advent goes along.
And they answer those questions.
Because they've been answering those questions. Yeah. So sometimes if they've done so well on their questions through Advent that when Santa Claus comes on Christmas Eve, those stockings overflow. They spill out all over the floor
mm-hmm.
because they've been answering so many questions
right.
and there's no room.
Right.
You know, but they are the kind of questions like, who made you?
Mm-hmm.
Why did he make you?
Mm-hmm.
To know him, love him, serve him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those sorts of questions like that. And the kids really love that.
Yeah, that's good.
How about you?
We do an Advent wreath. Honestly, I don't know why I felt like Advent started like so quickly after Thanksgiving, even though it's normal.
Right.
But we were traveling back on that first Sunday. So then I felt like our house did not look like Advent for like the first week and a half. So we're kind of terrible in that way. Maybe you could relate, but we put
definitely it's been that way on that real quick though, Kara, because we feel the same way. I feel like we were 2 weeks behind.
Yeah.
Because we traveled for Thanksgiving, and then we had an unexpected funeral come up
mm-hmm.
In the family. Here's the thing: we said this in our Lent episode earlier this year.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter how you start;
right.
It matters how you finish.
Right.
So you still got time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it took us like a week and a half to get our Advent wreath out, and we still have yet to light it. It sits
mm-hmm.
on the kitchen table, which is so terrible. And then Clara, because I told her, she's like, "Mom, what's this for?" And because, you know, when we last lit it, she was a lot younger and doesn't quite remember
mm-hmm.
doing it every dinner. And so I had to tell her again. And so I was teaching her what we do for it. And so now she's out of the age where she's like, "Mom, we have to light it." And she's the one reminding me. She's like, "You told me we have to light it." And I'm like, I know. So normally we're really good about doing the Advent wreath, and we print out weekly prayers, and every dinner, we eat dinner as a family, and every dinner we read the prayers and then we light the candle. So that is one that we normally try and do. We also have this little kids nativity set. And every single day leading up to Christmas, there's one more character that you add.
Nice.
And each character comes with like a little card. And so on the card, it'll read something from scripture, and then it'll challenge you to do something. So like with Joseph's card, it read something from the Annunciation where it says Joseph from the line of David. And so it's pointing to Joseph, but then it'll talk about Jesus's genealogy a little bit, and it'll say like, what's your family tree? And so it gives you kind of like family activities to do with each character. So Clara really likes doing that. She's the one who gets to put the little character up on the nativity every day. Nice. And then we read the card together as a family. So I like doing that. And then we have this fabric tree that we hang on the wall, and it has like little clothespins for every day of Advent. And then we pin little cards that have scripture passages on the back. Mm-hmm. So then every day we just have like our small gospel Bible that's in our little like hanging mail thing right next to this tree. And so we just put it right there. And so then every day you flip the card over and you see what scripture passage you're supposed to read. And it's all just like leading up to the nativity of Jesus. And so that's another one that I really like, because it gets the kids used to hearing about the nativity story, reminding them what Christmas is about, but then also getting them used to opening their Bibles as a family. So I like that one.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
We have an unofficial Advent tradition. Mm-hmm. Every time we light the candle, it usually leads to Daddy doing magic tricks with a lighter and making fire come out of my hands and stuff like this.
Oh.
So that's safe to teach kids, right?
Yeah, that's good.
It's kind of an unofficial tradition.
Yeah,
but,
that's good. That's good.
Yes.
Jumping ahead to New Year's Eve.
Mm-hmm.
What's your New Year's Eve resolution?
You know, I haven't decided yet.
Yeah, same here. How do you choose what your resolution's going to be? Do you have like a formula?
I do not have a formula. Okay. I was trying to make it sound like all fancy. Like first I sit down and I feel like I do try to be prayerful about it, but as much as I would like it to be very intentional, it tends to be very somewhat last minute.
Yeah.
And I feel like I just kind of fall into my resolution 1 or 2 weeks into the new year.
Yeah.
So
into the new year.
I would like to not do that this year.
Yeah.
I don't know. The thing that keeps sticking out in my mind is wanting to love better in the new year. Mm-hmm. I don't know what that means. So I'm kind of praying with what does that mean? How do I love better? Mm-hmm. Like everybody. Like how do I love my neighbor better? How do I love my friends better? Mm-hmm. How do I love my wife better? How do I love my kids better? Just love better in general and pray with that. Yeah. Maybe it looks like 1 Corinthians 13. We can put that in the show notes for those that don't know.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to say what that is, or you're going to make them look it up?
I'll make them look it up just for fun.
What's the verse? Do you know the verse?
Love is patient, love is kind. Okay. Love does not envy.
All right, go look it up.
And so on. So go look it up.
Okay.
Just praying about what does that mean and how do I do that practically? It probably means I don't lose my temper so easily. Right. And I look back at my early walk with Christ. Before I was actually Catholic, I would try to celebrate Lent. I didn't necessarily realize I was doing it at the time, but I would always do things like on those Fridays of Lent, like I'm going to give up complaining today, and my coworkers would make fun of me because I would tell them, like, yeah, right, you work here. How are you going to give up complaining?
Yeah.
But I always felt better at the end of those days. Mm-hmm. And so things like that, like to love better, maybe it does mean I give up complaining. I give up criticizing. Right. I give up losing my temper, or at least I'm more intentional about it.
Yeah.
I'm more willing to give of myself. I think of myself less. Those sorts of things. That's kind of where I am right now. Mm-hmm. I didn't really answer your question.
No,
I'm still trying to figure that out.
Yeah. No, I don't have one yet either. I don't have a formula either.
Yeah.
I actually like the practice. I know it's kind of probably more of a secular practice to come up with a New Year's resolution, but I like the practice because, like, if we are called not just every year to evaluate kind of ourselves and our interior growth and our interior life, but every single day. Mm-hmm. But I think this gives us an opportunity to look back and be like, what was this last year like? Right. And if there are negative things, like, why was it like that? And is there anything I can do with the help of God to fix that and to work towards that? And I don't honestly think that was my mentality for most of my life. I think it was very much the same as you, like very last minute. Oh, it's New Year's Eve. I should probably think of what I'm going to fix for next year.
Right.
And a lot of times they were very shallow things. Well, at least I know my intention, and my intention was shallow. Like, it'll be like, oh, I'm going to try and work out more. I'm going to try and diet. And not that working out and dieting is a shallow thing. Like, if that is something that very honestly will help you to be better or help you to grow closer to God, like maybe that's an obstacle of your mental health or whatever it is. I'm not saying that is shallow. I'm saying I knew my intention, and my intention was, somebody else look a lot more fit than I do. I'm going to go spend 3 hours in the gym. Like, that's super shallow.
Right.
And so I think early on, and for a lot of my adolescence, like those were my New Year's resolutions. Mm-hmm. Now it very much is like, okay, let me look at the last year and what kept me from growing close to God.
Right.
And I try and do that more often than every year. Like just recently I realized like I do not like how much I binge watch TV. I think I mentioned this in a previous episode. Yep. And I would just like go to bed feeling really empty on those nights where I literally did nothing after the kids went to bed and I just sat and binge watched TV. I'm like, I just wasted a whole night and nothing was filling me. Mm-hmm. And so I cut that out. So I think just being able to look back on a whole year of like, what kept me from growing in holiness? Like you said, what keeps me from loving the people who are in front of me? Is it, am I overly irritable with people and I'm taking it out on them? Mm-hmm. Is that from something interior? Is it because I'm not getting enough sleep? Like maybe my resolution is, okay, I'm going to go to bed at this time every night because I know that if I'm not getting enough sleep, I take it out on people around me, or I get it too exhausted and I'm overly irritable, whatever it might be. Like, I think just looking at what my intention is, and my intention hopefully is always to grow closer to Christ and grow more in virtue. And honestly, the definition of virtue is a habitual disposition to do good. And so if we can look at a New Year's resolution like, I want to try and grow in a habit, grow in breaking bad habits and growing in good habits that are going to help me, help my soul, and help those around me. Honestly, I think that's my formula, if you will, for trying to find a good New Year's resolution.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, if we go back to the questions I asked the kids, know him, love him, serve him.
Yeah.
That's what we're called to do. So what in this new year will help me know him better? What in this new year will help me love him better?
Right.
And what in this new year will help me serve him? But we do have to be concrete, like you said, because I think many New Years I've had the resolution, I'm going to lose weight this year. I'm going to be more fit. What does that mean?
There's no way to like check in on that or be accountable.
There has to be an actual plan. I'm thinking of the New Year's resolution office episode, Kara.
Yeah.
And they just give up, throw the board away. It's causing more problem than good. Creed did get his somersault.
No, it's a cartwheel. I'm going to do the perfect cartwheel.
Yeah, which it clearly wasn't, but whatever.
I did it. You did?
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
But, we do have to be concrete. We do have to, so like if you're listening, I'm going to read the Bible more this year. Mm-hmm. Okay, how?
Yeah, where are you going to start?
Where are you going to start?
How much time a day?
How much time? Yeah. Is there a place? Have a place to do it, I think is important. And stick to it. And, the hardest day to do anything virtuous is the day after you forget to do it. Mm-hmm. So, and don't beat yourself up, but pick up where you left off.
Right.
And commit to it. Kara, we read the Imitation of Christ chapter every day.
Yep.
Easy, beautiful thing. Mm-hmm. And that's what...
It's usually like 1 to 3 pages every night. That's
right. At most.
Yeah.
And it's not too difficult. Anyone can do that. Mm-hmm. It's 5-10 minutes probably.
Not even. I mean, if you sit and meditate with it, then about 10 minutes. But I would say to read it is not even. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very easy. I think one of the things that I'm trying to still kind of figure out what my New Year's resolution might be. But one of the things I've really wanted to do more intentionally, especially after reading Just Rest by Sonia Corbett, which was one of our most recent episodes, is to try and actually keep Sunday as a day of rest. Mm-hmm. I'm really bad at that. She does joke that like, oh, if laundry brings you rest, go for it. I don't mind laundry. I'm weird. I don't mind laundry. So if it happens that I have to do that on a Sunday, I don't mind that at all, especially because I'm doing it for my family and somebody else. So it kind of brings me a little bit of rest. But I have to be intentional about, okay, what does that look like, resting? Is it literally doing absolutely nothing? Is it preparing food on Saturday night so I don't have to cook anything Sunday? Mm-hmm. I'll be honest, BJ does the majority of the cooking. So, but what does that look like? I think I have to be more specific with certain things. Like you said, if you're going to have a resolution, I like the practice. I like looking back, but be specific so that it's easy for you to be able to check and hold yourself accountable.
Yeah. And they can be simple. I think sometimes we put it too big.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of my first pastor always used to say there are 2 kinds of people in the world. Those who get up in the morning and say, oh, God, it's morning. Mm-hmm. Or those who get up and say, thank you, Lord, it's morning. Yeah. So maybe your resolution is, I'm going to be the second person. Yeah. The one that gets up every morning and says, thank you, Lord. And that's the first thing out of your mouth. Not, I hate my job.
Right.
Right. Because I don't know, that's kind of setting up your thinking for the rest of the day.
Right.
And I know we'll have a episode on thoughts coming soon, and we'll pick up on that when we get there. But, it doesn't have to be this big thing.
Yeah. Yeah, so thank you for listening to this Christmas edition of Chit Chat and Banter and a Q&A. So we were really excited to just kind of sit down and have a more casual discussion and invite you guys into our lives and our friendship a little bit more. So we hope it was edifying for all of you, and we wish you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.